We focused on health issues, domestic violence, reproductive health, and sexuality. We've had very little experience in dealing with women in the economy. The projects we had to do it together with the School of Economics, a few studies with the Mass Communication, College of Mass Communication. So I think the University of the Center for Women's Studies contributed a lot in terms of producing knowledge that were used, and they continue to be used for classroom teaching, for policy advocacy, for program development. I am part of a team now organized by the Asian Development Bank. I do a lot of research on women and HIV/AIDS, gender and HIV/AIDS, because over the years I worked in the area of reproductive health. So now I'm very much concentrated on the issue of HIV/AIDS for the simple reason that there is the increase is in the Philippines of infected individuals is a little alarming. We have one of the lowest incidents compared to Thailand, for instance, or India, but the rate of increase is a little bit alarming. So more than 1/3 of infected individuals, Filipinos, worked in the seafaring industry. So my research is looking at the risks and vulnerabilities now of women who are increasingly being recruited into the seafaring industry. And they are very young girls, and they know very little about fertility, about how to protect themselves. And in this study, we identified all the risks and vulnerabilities, both of men and women, and what can be done to maybe prevent the spread and the increase in incidence of infected individuals in the Philippines. We submitted the final report already, and it's a little disturbing because they are recruiting now. There will be we were told that thousands of passenger ships are being built now. With the increase in oil prices and air travel becoming more expensive, there will be more individuals who will use cruise and passenger ships. And there is massive recruitment happening. So it's our women and our girls now, and they're establishing these passenger ships that have all the services, the casino, the nightclubs, the spa. And I interviewed some of the girls, the women who are working there now. There is a very high incidence among them of sexually transmitted disease. We have documented incidents of rape also, sexual harassment, because of the condition, even in cargo ships. So all the risks to women are there. But the more serious risk is the lack of knowledge and awareness of the girls, of the women, to protect themselves. Because we don't teach sexuality education, we don't have serious sexuality education in schools. So in one of the focus group discussion, I just asked them, and there were 25 of them, and they were about to board a ship last year, whether they knew when is their fertile period. And only two or five were able to give the correct answer. And then I asked them, what if you fall in love with someone but you're not ready to get married, and there's romance going on every night on the ship? The captain of the ship falls in love with you. How will you resist him if he doesn't love you or you don't like him? And they would just looked at me and stared at me as if these things wouldn't happen to them. And it's all in the report, so we identified all these risks. But the recommendation, of course, was to start them young in introducing all this knowledge to them so that they can protect themselves from harm. Because government will not be there to protect them. Their parents won't be there. And there's a lot of, romance going around, and they have developed subcultural practices. They have a rule in the seafaring industry, the men, and the women also. They can fall in love, they can have romantic relationship, both married, But the rule is once the ship docks here in Manila, they ignore each other. They must not talk about it. They must not communicate with each other. So they can be partners while on board, but once they get down, they forget each other. The rule is shouldn't send text messages once you get down. But if you fall in love, like you want to continue this extramarital relationship, then they communicate by trying to board the same ship again the next time. And there are no regulations. Now some principals, they call them principals, the ship owners, the captains, are becoming more strict because of HIV/AIDS. So they try to distribute condoms and they try to regulate sharing of cabins. No? This has been going on, it has been documented by NGOs in Hong Kong because there are so many women there. They're willing to share boyfriends. So when the ship docks and there would be Filipino males, the Filipino women prefer also to have relationship with Filipino men. So they would meet. So when the ship would dock, there would be 3 domestic workers, females, who are willing to share one man. But it's also just, it's a modern phenomenon then, itong long distance relationship and long separation between husbands and wife. It's also a modern day phenomenon, right? I have an article that was published by University of Singapore, Constructing Motherhood, the experiences of women workers abroad, how they negotiate being mothers while they're away. And so texting has helped a lot. They're able to text their children, guide them like that. Telephone calls, occasional telephone calls. I think cell phones have done a lot to keep relationships intact. And it's one modern technology that has helped bridge the gap, in communication among family members. So when you ask them how, because there are also men, you see, farers we talk to, who really want to stay faithful. And not all of them would jump at the opportunity to be unfaithful to their wives. So you talk to them and you ask them, how do you maintain your sanity? And they said, yeah, it's the texting with my children, talking to my wife on the phone, thinking of how they are all the time, putting all their photographs beside my bed at night. So they really try also to be faithful.
I would like to acknowledge the help of the Multimedia Center of the University of the Philippines Open University in recording and editing this production. If you have questions and inquiries on the material that you have just viewed, please email me at gigipssp@yahoo.com.